The flickering gaslight cast long, dancing shadows across Elias Thorne's studio, a room perpetually teetering on the edge of chaos and creation. Dust motes, like tiny, forgotten stars, pirouetted in the single gleam of moonlight that dared to pierce the gloom. Elias, a man whose eyes held the weary wisdom of countless sleepless nights, dipped his brush into a swirl of midnight blue. He was painting the old willow tree that hunched by the edge of the forbidden woods, a tree he'd seen 1,000 times, yet tonight it felt different. A sense of unease, a whisper of something ancient and hungry clung to the air. The next morning, a gasp caught in Elias's throat. There, outside his window, where yesterday only an empty field lay, stood the willow tree, its gnarled branches reaching like skeletal fingers towards the bruised morning sky. The same tree, in the same pose as he had painted it. A cold dread snaked its way around his heart. He tried to rationalize it, to dismiss it as a coincidence, a trick of the light. But the meticulous detail, the subtle lean of the trunk he had so carefully rendered, defied all logic. Driven by a morbid curiosity, a desire to prove himself wrong, Elias returned to his easel that evening. He painted a winding stone path leading into the dense woods, a path that had never existed. He focused on every moss-covered stone, every fallen leaf, pouring every ounce of his skeptical resolve into the canvas. He slept fitfully, haunted by the image of the impossible path. Dawn broke with a chilling confirmation. The path was there, undeniably, terrifyingly real, a perfectly replicated stone path meandering into the ominous depths of the woods. Elias stumbled back from the window, his mind reeling. What impossible force was at play? What dark magic had he unwittingly awakened? Days bled into nights, a terrifying cycle of creation and manifestation. Elias began to experiment, painting small, innocuous objects. A lone red rose, a discarded pocket watch. Each morning they appeared, tangible and real. The joy of creation had been replaced by a gnawing terror. He was not just an artist, he was a reluctant god, manifesting reality with every stroke. One night, as he stared out into the inky blackness, a flicker of movement caught his eye. A monstrous silhouette, impossibly tall, impossibly gaunt, stood at the edge of the tree line. It was a smudge, a distortion in the fabric of the night, yet it radiated an undeniable malevolence. His heart hammered against his ribs. He had to stop it. He had to keep it out. Panic gripped him. He knew, with a certainty that chilled him to the bone, that this was his greatest challenge yet. With trembling hands, he grabbed his largest canvas. He would paint a wall, a thick, impenetrable wall encircling his entire house, trapping him inside, but keeping the terrifying entity out. He worked with feverish intensity, each brushstroke a desperate plea for safety. Exhaustion finally claimed him as dawn approached. He collapsed onto his studio floor, the brush still clutched in his hand. He peered out the window, expecting to see the wall, to feel the relief of safety. But the view was wrong, distorted. The trees seemed too close, the sky too narrow. A cold, hard surface met his gaze. He pushed himself up, his limbs heavy with dread, and stumbled towards the window. He touched the cold, rough stone of the wall. It was real, too real. But the monster, where was the monster? He scanned the now enclosed space, his breath catching in his throat. His eyes finally fell upon the glass of his window. There, a dark, viscous smudge, almost like a smear of ink, clung to the pane. It was the silhouette. It had been there all along, not in the woods, but a flaw on the very canvas he looked through every day. He had not painted a wall around the woods to keep the monster out. He had painted a wall around his own house, trapping himself inside the frame with the now 3D physical entity that had been nothing more than a smudge on his window. The world shifted again, the oil painting textures of his prison giving way to the hyper-realistic horror of his new reality. He was no longer looking out, he was looking in.